Hi everyone, yasas que Carlos Tirtate to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make Kabsa chicken. This is a Saudi-inspired rice and chicken dish that's so full of flavor. My kids sent me this reel from Chef JJ's Kitchen on Instagram, and they all sent it to me actually a few days apart, and I was drooling when I saw it. I knew I had to make it. It's a chicken and rice dish, and then there's a spicy tomato sauce that's served with it. That's so delicious. I followed his recipe exactly, except I didn't have the lime that he was using, this dried lime. I did adjust the flavors for the video because my kids thought that there was a little too much cinnamon in it and a little too much ginger. So I adjusted it to suit my family's taste, and I think you're gonna love it too. Let's get started. Okay, we're gonna get all of the ingredients prepared and ready because the recipe moves fast, but there are just a few steps. So I have one whole chicken here that's just cut into portions. You can cut it in half if you like JJ's Kitchen does, but it's easier to serve when it's in portions. Just get that chicken ready and set it aside. And then we're gonna get all of the spices ready. So we're gonna need a cinnamon stick, 3 bay leaves, 4 or 5 cardamom pods, 3 whole cloves, and 2 star anise. And then for the spices, we need 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, a heaping teaspoon of ground coriander, half a teaspoon of ground cumin, and half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. Now I have this onion over here that I'm just gonna finely chop and set it aside. Then I'll grate these 2 carrots on the fine side of my box grater. These are gonna add a little bit of sweetness and lots of flavor to the sauce. And then the zest of 2 oranges. So oranges are gonna add also lots of aromatic flavor and a tiny hint of sweetness. If you're not a fan of oranges, you could substitute lemon for this, but orange is traditional. So the zest of 2 oranges is going in this plate. Now the recipe calls for garlic powder, but I prefer 6 or 7 garlic cloves that are grated. I have this chunk over here because I grate my garlic in big batches and then I just freeze it, and I just cut off chunks of frozen garlic, and it works perfectly in dishes and saves a lot of time. So everything is ready to go. Now we're just gonna start cooking the meal, and it's gonna be ready in under an hour. So in my pot over here, I'm gonna add the onions with a little bit of olive oil, about a 1/4 cup or so. They're gonna cook until they start getting some color on them, about 5 minutes. Then I'll go in and add the grated carrot, the garlic, and the orange zest. Warm that through for about 30-40 seconds until the garlic smells really beautiful. And now we're gonna add the aromatics and the spices. Just toast them for a few seconds. Toasting them for a few seconds will help release their flavor. And then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I bought the tomato paste in the tube for the first time, and it works well because I can just pop it back into my refrigerator. So about 2 tablespoons goes in, and then the recipe calls for a chicken stock cube, but I bought this better than chicken bouillon, and I'll just add 1 heaping tablespoon of it to the pot, whisk everything all together, and then the chicken is just gonna go in, mix everything all up. But before you do that, season the chicken with 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt, lots of freshly cracked black pepper, and then toss it in all of those spices so that way it's coated with all of that flavor, and cook the chicken in that just for a minute or 2. Next, I'll add about 2 cups of water, just enough so that way the chicken is covered. We're gonna bring this to a boil and reduce the heat to a medium, cover the pot, and let this cook for 35 to 40 minutes or until the chicken is fully cooked. That sauce is gonna thicken. Carefully take out the chicken and transfer it to an oven-safe dish that's gonna be safe to go under the broiler. I like to use these little sheet pans for that. And at this point, you can take out the cinnamon sticks, the bay leaves, the cardamom pods, the star anise, whatever you can easily take out without sacrificing that sauce. Go ahead and do that. It's gonna be much easier to eat the rice without all of those flavorings in there. They've already released all of their flavor. This delicious gravy is going to season the rice right now. I have 3 cups of basmati rice that I've rinsed really well, and I let it soak while the chicken was cooking. Drain the water from the rice and add the rice to the pot with 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt and about 2 cups of water. There's already some water in this broth. You want there to be enough liquid in there to cover the rice by about 1/2 inch or so. Bring it to a boil, and once it comes to a boil, reduce the heat to low, cover the pot, and let the rice simmer for about 20 minutes. Once the 20 minutes are up, just gently fluff the rice, and it's ready to put everything all together. But before we do that, we're gonna put the chicken under the broiler for about 10 minutes just so it can get a beautiful char on it, some nice color. And then the final step that's left is making that delicious spicy tomato sauce. For that, we're gonna need 3 tomatoes and a small onion, 3 green chilies, or the recipe says if you don't like it spicy, you can substitute a green bell pepper instead of the chilies. We like it spicy, so I'm using 3 serrano chilies for this. A peeled lemon that I've just quartered, 3 garlic cloves, a bunch of fresh mint, a teaspoon of coriander powder, half a teaspoon of cumin, a little bit of salt. I put a teaspoon in there, and then about half a cup of water, just so that way it's at the right consistency. I'm using my high-powered blender for this, but you can use a food processor too. Blend everything all together until it's nice and chunky. You can add a little more water if you like, and that's it. The sauce is ready. To serve this delicious chicken dish, we're just gonna transfer the rice onto a big serving platter, or you can serve it family style in the pot that you cooked it in. Just place the chicken on top of the rice. And then for a little garnish, I just took some almond slices, cranberries, and raisins, and I cooked them in a little bit of butter until everything was golden. I'll just sprinkle this over the top of the chicken rice, and it smells amazing. I hope you give it a try. And that's it. Once this recipe is fully cooked and ready and on the table, your kitchen and your house is gonna smell so good. Your guests are gonna love this one. This is definitely a dish that I would serve for a special occasion, just because not only is it full of flavor and pretty easy to make, but it's stunning. When you put it on the table, it just looks so beautiful. Everybody's gonna wanna eat it, and it tastes delicious too. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Before we leave, let's do the taste test. So good. My goodness, there's still a lot of flavor. Even though I did leave some of the spices out, he had 12 different spices that he put in there, plus some other aromatics that I'm sure were gonna make it taste even better. But for my kids, they don't like so much ground cinnamon in it. There was an extra cinnamon stick in his recipe, and some other flavors that my kids wanted me to leave out. And still, there's tons of flavor in this. That spicy tomato sauce adds freshness, a little kick of heat. If you don't like the heat, you can leave the chilies out and substitute a green bell pepper instead. You'll still have lots of flavor in there. I'm telling you, this is delicious. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Head on over to my website to print this recipe out. If you're on Instagram, definitely check out Chef JJ's Kitchen. You're gonna love his recipes. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.